Blog Talk Radio. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard. Hi, it's Natalie from Chatting with Nat. Today we'll be chatting with Cameron. Cameron is a versatile, wonderful, I don't know what to call her, but she's amazing. She does so many things, she wears so many hats. And we're going to be talking to her about her new animated film that she's working on. Right now there's a trailer, there's a soundtrack. It's called Seaper Powers. Embark on a magical ocean journey in this feature-length animated film. Meet Emma, a little girl on vacation off the island of St. Thomas, who discovers magical seagrass that gives her the power to talk to sea life. Soon enough, Emma has a new group of sea critter friends. There's Oliver, a shy young octopus who's full of adventure but too timid to explore with his friends. And Steve, an out-of-the-way starfish who discovers he has powers of his own. Together, the quirky trio set off on a grand adventure to find buried treasure. Along the way, learning important lessons about friendship, self-confidence, protecting the environment, and the power of imagination. For more information, check out Seaper Powers' website, seaperpowers.com/the-movie. Hi, Kim. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. It's a little bit of a rainy day here in Miami Beach, but I got to say, after looking at all of the snow-covered northeast and across Texas, and I'm pretty glad that we're just seeing rain.
Yeah, I know. Over here it's a little bit dreary. At least there's no snow. Just the other day it was icing outside. It was really pretty. You took one step and you're about to have a beautiful fall on the ice. It was just crazy. And we had the snowstorm before that. So I guess it's January here in Maryland.
It is. I did live there one time, so I do understand.
Oh my goodness. I don't like the winter. I need to move to LA or somewhere extremely hot. Because that's what I love. That's what I love. Before we get into Seaper Powers, tell our audience how you got into the whole, I want to talk about your music journey a little bit. How you got into the whole music field.
Well, I've always been in music. I started playing the clarinet when I was in, I believe it was second grade. I didn't want to play the clarinet. I actually wanted to learn how to play the flute, but all of the flute, seats were taken. So I had to learn the clarinet, and kind of grew up doing, marching band and orchestra with the clarinet. So I played that for many, many years. And at the same time, I had this big interest in musicals and acting, and I started doing musicals at school. And, from there, by the time I hit high school, I had joined a pretty bad cover band, but it was pretty fun. And then when I graduated from college, kind of found another cover band, and we rocked it. We were in DC, and we had huge crowds, and I got to tell you, we were the worst cover band in the entire world. I'm convinced of that. But we got a lot of people to support us, which was really nice. And then I took a little bit of a break because I did some pretty extensive travel. And then in 2008, right before 2008, I began this original project. I wrote my first original song, and I took it into a studio, and I was hooked. I was like completely. I was like, this is the best drug ever, and I've been songwriting and ever since.
Wow. Wow. And you're a Billboard charting artist. What song did you, or what songs have you charted with?
What song is that? What?
You chart with on the board?
Oh, so I did get to, I've charted many songs, but when it came to Billboard, there are two songs that I was successful at hitting the top 20. One was called Not Into You, and that was in 2014. And in 2015, I did it again with Now You're Mine. And that was on the dance charts. And that was just, I mean, I was thrilled beyond belief. I was so happy. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge accomplishment because, you know, us artists out there are trying to get on those charts, but it's very, I mean, it takes a lot of marketing, it takes a lot of pushing, it takes a lot, you know, a huge team to be able to do that. So I congratulate you on that, on those accomplishments, because that's just amazing. I mean, I'm sure that when you found the news, you were just like, what? I did it, although you know you're that good.
Well, you know, we all try. I don't know that I know I'm that good, but it worked out really nicely because it was just kind of, at the time, it was just what I needed. So it was at the right time. You know, as you know, the music industry is so hard, and it's so easy to get discouraged. And when that happened, it was a game changer for me in many regards. I mean, you kind of, you know, even though it's just one chart, it does give you a credibility in the industry that you really don't get unless you hit one of these national charts.
Exactly. You nailed it. You nailed it. How would you describe your music?
You know, I have a catalog now of about 600 songs, and I would say that they range anywhere from, you know, I've got some soft rock, and I've got some adult contemporary, and I've got some pop music, but I would say the last several albums have really been focused on house, deep house, and some electric pop, some EDM. That's kind of where you know, that's my love. I mean, that's the music it just makes me happy. And, you know, it's, although I don't, you know, I enjoy writing some of the children's songs I've had to do for the movie and for my books. It's, I gravitate towards that electronic sound, and, you know, it's mood dependent, but I do gravitate towards that dancing, feeling good, happy sound.
What would you say sets your music apart from everybody else? What makes it unique?
Wow. I mean, I strive to be unique. I don't know that I am unique, but I strive to be. I have a tendency to put a lot of vocals in my songs, which makes a lot of my dance songs sound very pop. I like to do a lot of layering. I do my own production when it comes to vocals, and so it's I like to experiment with odd sounding harmonies and different ad libs that do different things. I mean, that to me, that's part of, you know, the creative side of songwriting is having the vocal tracks do something that they hadn't done before, and that's really been, you know, the fun part for me. I would say that's probably my more unique characteristic of my songs. I'd probably put it in the vocals.
So what does so here's another. What does your music say about you?
Well, I believe I'm a storyteller. So I believe all my songs really are telling a story. Most of them are stories about me, but there's quite a few of my songs that are about somebody else. and, stories that people told me either on tour or they're friends of mine, and they had a, story that inspired me. Like I could hear the song when they were telling me the story. And the most recent one was about a year and a half ago? I guess it's maybe 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, where I had this friend of mine who, started telling me this. He'd fallen in love with this girl who was completely opposite of him. Like they didn't like anything the same. She was vegan, he wasn't. She was a clean nut. He was a pack rat. I mean, it just sort of went down the line.
Right.
And it was those differences that brought them together and made their relationship that much more special. And so the song ended up being called "Didn't Know I Was Falling." And the two, because of their differences, ended up falling in love. But the lyrical content is all about how opposite they really are. And I see this color, but you see the exact opposite color when we're looking at the same thing. So, so there's many stories I would say that I've put into my songs that have nothing to do with me.
All right. What has been your favorite musical performance and why?
Ooh, narrowing it down to one is super, super hard.
Give me three. Give me three. I'll make it a little bit.
Okay. The biggest, most recent, I would say, was right before COVID. I was able to go to China and play for an ginormous festival. In China terms, it wasn't that big, but in U.S. terms, it was quite large. And they really know how to put all the bells and whistles out. I mean, lights, sound, everything just was run so perfectly. Right. So it was a pleasure to not only perform abroad, but it was a pleasure, as you know, as a musician as well, when everything goes right. Like if you can actually have good sound and good lighting, your show is just different. Amen. It just feels different. It looks different. I mean, and it's so rare to have all those pieces and parts working for you right. as an artist. So that was one of my favorite. And it was kind of like I had the trifecta because I then had a very similar experience with the Commons for the Cure about 2 months later. And of course, Commons is such a great, organization for women that it was kind of a double hitter. But again, I had, great sound engineers that were really championing the whole production angle of it. So those two were really some of my favorites. And then I really do enjoy when there are opportunities on the local level to just sit down with, at some of our local, restaurants here and do a short acoustic gig where I'm just performing with, friends like you and our other friends, where it's just stripped down, and it's all about intimacy. It's all about, connecting to, in a smaller venue. So if I'm doing that with friends, it's quite, special in my mind. I wouldn't want to do that all the time, but it's certainly, it's fun to have that diversity when you're performing. So those are kind of my favorite times that I think I've enjoyed the most.
So now when you perform your EDM music, do you have backup dancers? Do you have all the bells and whistles?
It depends. I used to, when I was performing in D.C., I used to bring my dancers and they would, dance on stage. I haven't carried that out to Europe or to Asia. Not that I wouldn't want to, right. But when you're giving costs to go abroad for some of these bigger festivals, I mean, adding dancers to the mix, it starts scaring all of the all of the promoters, like, oh no, here's another act, it's going to be too expensive. And especially if you're doing a festival that is, let's say your set is 40 minutes. Well, I mean, dancers can't, they could go on for 40 minutes, but that's that's a tough proposition. If you're going to do it right, they're choreographing all of it. So that you're really talking about dancers that, could do only a handful of songs anyway. So I would, if I were just doing like one or two songs, I would do the dancers more often. But when I'm asked to perform at some of these festivals, it's a full set. So it makes it a little challenging.
No, I get that, but I do agree with you with the intimate settings. Some of those can be really special. I like those too because you can just engage with people a lot more. What would you say? Who would you say are your main musical influences?
Well, you're asking really good questions. When I think about songwriters, I love listening to some of the best lyricists to me. Where when you start looking at James Taylor, where you could just see, you could visualize everything that he was telling the story about. Lionel Richie was also, his lyrical content, and he, transformed the way we thought about composing music. Nobody had ever done choruses before the verses before Lionel Richie came along. So, those guys definitely had a great influence in how I think about writing stories. Now, when it comes to the actual electronic sound, I've been heavily influenced by so many producers, largely out of Europe, because I just, the Wide Boys have a very unique sound to them. You've got, DJ Max that, again, has that deep house sound that's just, so pleasing to the ears. They're the big guys out there, obviously, that everybody knows their names, but I have a tendency to really like the ones that are sort of middle tier, because I feel like everybody grabs their ideas and then blows them up because they've got, a huge label behind them to make it so. But this middle tier of DJ producers out there, they're quite incredible. And before COVID, I would be an attendant and sometimes performing at what's called the Amsterdam Dance Event, which is basically every DJ and every DJ / producer in the electronic world would attend this event, and you would hear nonstop music for 4 days. And when I say nonstop, it started at 6 a.m. and it finished at 5:59 a.m. So it was constant rotation of all these guys from all over the world, and you got to hear amazing sounds. Things you go, wow, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have thought to do that. It's just really there's some really incredible artists out there, and I'd love to see more females jump into that area. Amsterdam Dance Event, I could count how many females were actually there, and so I couldn't really compare. It's hard for me to compare, how they're doing, because there's just so few of them in the DJ world. And I don't want to say DJ world, DJ / producer world.
Okay.
But Nora En Pure is like a great example where I love her sound. Love her sound. And she's just risen above. And she's no longer like that mid-tier, but, it's just a pleasure listening.
Yeah, well, I guess that when you love something, you love it. Have you ever done, I know Miami has I think it's called the Music Winter Conference or Dance Conference. Have you ever done that? Have you ever heard of that one?
Yeah, so I have actually given out awards at that, which is the Miami Music Week, and that was kind of a tradition I did for a number of years. And then they were sold 2 years ago to the same people who run Ultra. So
Okay.
it's a different feel. I don't know that they do awards anymore. I think they're trying to get back and do awards again, but they skipped it when they first, switched hands. But the gentleman who used to run it, really, he was, again, this lover of dance music and had a big, huge gala, and it was very cool. And because it's in Miami, we would do these big, huge award shows outside, right in front of the beach, and so it was, again, every DJ you can think of was there. Now, it was a little different than the Amsterdam dance event because most of the guys were so happy to be in Miami, and they were at pool parties instead of all wrapped up in their scarves in Amsterdam. So they might have partied just a little too much.
Miami is the place where it happens. I'm telling you, they keep talking about Las Vegas, but so much stuff can happen in Miami. I get that. What is your writing process like for music?
It's all based on inspiration.
Okay.
But I have just been asked to write for a film, which it will be my first experience for writing outside of my own films, of writing for somebody else's film. And so that's kind of interesting because they gave me, their trailer and their concepts. And looking at it, I really thought about it, and I came up with several ideas.
Okay.
And said, okay, let me send you over one of them, make sure this is the right feel. And the answer was, no, it's not. Okay, I didn't understand what they were looking for at all. So back to the drawing board.
Yeah, no, but I like that because you can be so honest about that and just say, you know what, you tried your best, and then you but it's a back and forth. It's communication. Now they're going to say, well, this is exactly what we want, and then you're going to give them what they want, and it's going to be a beautiful thing, right?
Right. Well, I hope the adventure has only just begun.
It is only just begun. So one of the songs you gave me to play today is called Tiptoe. Tell me what that song's about.
Yes. That was my first COVID song. So
oh, really?
It was, I did this right in the smack at the beginning of COVID. And, my message was, even though it's a love song, the idea was, we're all tiptoeing around this virus, and we just don't, nobody knows anything. We can't touch each other. We can't touch anything. We can't touch, nothing. So that's why I kind of played off of that, and it's sort of an analogy to where when you're first falling in love, how you're a little bit tiptoeing around all of the areas that maybe you don't want him to know about. Like, well, do I really want him to know that I snore at night, or do I really want him to know that I'm obsessed with my hair? And so you sort of tiptoe around those really delicate areas that you're protecting in order for people to, or for him to still be interested.
Wow. Okay. So we're going to have a word from our sponsor, and then we're going to play the song. Hold on 1 second.
Hi, this is Nikki Chris, and I host a podcast called Mixin' It. Mixin' It focuses on women in the music, entertainment, and the performing arts. Our goal is to provide an avenue for industry veterans and up-and-coming artists, musicians, engineers, and producers to showcase their talent. Listen to Mixin' It on Monday Music Madness at 8 p.m. Eastern on the Sim Radio Network.
Loved it. Loved it. Yeah, no, I like that. I was grooving. I was swaying. I was pumping my fist in the air. I'm older than dirt, but I can still hang with people. How if you ever get it, how do you deal with writer's block?
I just don't write. I'm a firm, I'm a firm believer of, writing should come naturally. It should be something, that inspires you. And otherwise, I've tried to do a couple songs where I'm forced to do it, and they just sound forced.
Right.
So I just don't believe it. I mean, if you have writer's block, means, that day is not your day. And I went through, when I was on tour in the Caribbean, so I was gone for a good month. Mm-hmm. And I came back, and I had no desire to write any songs, which is, this doesn't seem like a long time, but for me it's a long time. I didn't write any songs for at least 3-4 months. And that was probably the longest I'd ever gone through that.
Yeah, right. There have been moments where I stared at the page and I'm like, oh my God, I can't think of anything. And then I just walk away, and then I'll sleep on it, and I'll say, okay, it's fresh now. I'm looking at the page, and then things will start flowing. But for me, my best ideas come out of the shower. It's crazy.
You might be most relaxed then.
Yeah, there's that. So I'm like trying to invent this thing where it's waterproof and that you can just hit a record button. It just records everything while you're in the shower. Just the music you want to record in the shower, because then I walk out of the shower and then all the ideas was like, what did I say? What was that? Oh my gosh, did I just it drives me absolutely crazy. Now let's dig into Seaper Powers. I know we had a chat yesterday, but for the audience, our audience members that didn't get a chance to catch that, I know you're an author, you're a filmmaker, you're a vocalist, you're a producer, you do it all. But tell our audiences again how you started out by writing the books.
Well, it was, since we talked a lot about inspiration, it was really again, another inspiration song. I met a little girl when I was on tour, and during the break, we had this conversation about, what sea life she liked, and she surprised me by telling me that her favorite sea creature was an octopus. And I found, for a little girl, that was quite unusual. I would have anticipated her saying whales or dolphins, something along those lines. And so that led to the writing of a song called Mr. Octopus, which was meant to be kind of tongue-in-cheek. And it ended up being the basis of a story that I wrote when I got back from tour. It took me, I guess about 4 months to write the story. It's a short story. It's only, an hour-long kind of read. But it was something that began the process. And after the first one, I wanted to turn it into a series. And so now I've done 5 books so far. They're both audio and hardcover, and they also have plush toys that go along with it, and teachers' guides, and it's like a forever coloring book. So it's its own thing. In addition, they have albums that are associated with the books, since they came in also audio form. And I've taken the first one and made a screenplay out of it, and now I am directing and producing my first full-length feature animated film.
Which is so awesome. I love it. Congratulations on that. And the trailer, you've already sent out the trailer to several film festivals. How well has that done?
It's done extremely well. We've won numerous awards for both the trailer, for the soundtrack, which we released, for the screenplay itself. So, I mean, I haven't counted them, but I'm, we're I'm sure about 20 different awards altogether. And, so I'm pretty excited. I'm anxious to actually submit the film itself to see how the film's going to do award-wise. And that's a different level of competition, but I would, I'm hoping to, get some accolades from those kinds of submissions, but we'll have to see.
Now, how many books are in the series?
5 altogether. They're chapter books, so they're quite unusual because the age group is really, 4 to 9 years of age, okay. But they're long books for that age group. So they're written in 1 to 2 page chapters because they're meant to be shared at bedtime, and it takes a good, hour. If you were an adult, it would take you an hour to read it. So it's not a short book. That most of them have 13 to 15 chapters. And they deal with all sorts of things from, adventure, just pure adventure and using the imagination, to there's a little bit, some of them have a little bit of science to them. Some of them have, all of them have an environmental theme, being that the overall theme of my entire series is how we connect to animals actually has an impact on our environment. Because if we care about the animals and we connect to them, we're going to be more cognizant of what we put in our water and how we're throwing away our trash and how we're reusing things. Because we'll not just care about us, but we'll also care about all the animals that are in our environment. So it's I emphasize that a lot, but then there are some messaging around inclusion. One of the main characters is a starfish who is a very strange color orange, and he gets made fun a lot. His other starfish friends make fun of him because of his color. And so he really struggles with finding friends because he is so insecure about his color. And so the story kind of addresses things like that. It addresses not being very careful not to make assumptions about different creatures just because you don't know that much about them.
I love that. And by the way, Kim, we have more time. You're actually on for an hour. Because Natalie can't read. So how did you come about for the story for the screenplay?
Well, it is based off the first book.
That's based off
it was my first, on the first book, yes, of the series. So I just had to teach myself how to convert, a written story into a screenplay, which is you're basically taking those visuals that you would get in your head from reading and transposing them into a movie format.
Wow. I love this. I love that you're getting into animation. I love you're doing stuff with animals because I am a big lover of animals. I've had 5 cats. I had a cat that died last year in November, which traumatized me. Now I have 2 kittens that are driving me insane. But I do love them, and I do believe in that animals have power to heal. And I also believe that, they have a great connection. And they're very smart because these kittens, they watch me do one thing and they think they know how to do it too. So I do. No, they do. Listen, I sealed the kitchen off because we have some stuff on the floor, and I put tape on this cardboard thing, and the cat would watch me, and he goes to the tape and starts pulling at the tape to open the door, and I'm thinking, okay, you're just too intelligent right now. No. And they're cute, but my God, they've broken so many things. I'd forgotten what it was like to have kittens and stuff like that. Tell us a little bit about the soundtrack, how you got other musicians to play on the soundtrack. One of my favorites, Suzanne Grosvenor, is on one of their songs, I know. How did you come about with all of that?
Well, it was really about what the scene was doing. And when you look at certain scenes you can actually hear the flavor of the music that you're looking for. And that's how how I was able to decide which musicians would fit best. A great example is one of the scenes in the movie is they're going, the little girl and her family is going to take a ride on a glass bottom boat. So it's very adventurous sounding. And so I wanted something that sounded like a nice reggae feel kind of song, an adventurous song. And I wrote this song and I recorded it. But when I was listening to myself, I'm like, well, I just don't have a reggae kind of vocal. I mean, it's just not me. And I tried to fake it, but then I was like, you know what? That just doesn't feel right that I should fake this. But
right.
I did have a local musician down here who she does have that kind of, beautiful, raspy, kind of reggae kind of tonality to it. So I asked her, will you come and record my song? And she was more than happy to do it. And she did brilliant. I mean, I couldn't have done what she did. It was just, some of this is a tonality, and it really changed the flavor of the song when you have the right vocalist on there. And that just fit. So there were numerous occasions when I was going through this scene by scene, and based on what was happening, you could hear what should be going on in the background.
Right. Wow. I'm learning so much about the whole, the animation and the soundtrack and animation together. It's very interesting. So we're going to play another one of your songs. Tell me about Take Me Back.
Oh, so this music video that I did for this song is just hilarious because you have to wait till the very end to find out what happens. But it's the music video itself kind of goes hand in hand with kind of a tongue in cheek with the song. It's supposed to be a very summary, I'm just looking for love kind of thing. So you'll hear references to I Don't Need a Pill, because remember the big song of the Ibiza pill that I guess I was got a couple summers ago, and the whole idea is you go to Ibiza and it's just this big dance party with lots of I don't want to say lots of drugs, but yeah, probably lots of drugs going on. It's a big party town, right?
Right.
And I know they're trying to transform that. But I went to Ibiza to perform, and I got to tell you, I fell in love with this place, and not because it was a big party, but because it's really a great island. And I loved all the music, and I loved performing. So I was inspired right after that to write this song.
Awesome sauce. All right, so we're going to have a word from our sponsor, and then we'll play the song. Hold on.
Hi, it's Jordan and Madison, and we're Jay Madison out of Nashville, Tennessee. We'd love to tell you about B Squared Management, artist services by artists for artists. Get your press, branding, single release, and sync success plan now at bsquaredmgmt.com. And listen up to our latest single, Down, now on Spotify.
It feels like yesterday. Sky is shining bright. Wind through my hair straight. We knew it's gonna be, gonna be, gonna be, gonna
Awesome. Once again, great music, great dance music, great music to work out to. Hell, I know I'm gonna put some of that. I need to. I'm gonna put it on and work out to it. If you could tell your younger version or give your younger version some advice, what would it be?
Wear more sunscreen.
Uh-uh. That's a good one. All right. Oh my goodness. So,
I think the other part of what I might say is stop being so scared.
mm,
I feel like we spend so much time worrying about stuff, and what we really should do is just give it a try.
amen. Amen. Yeah, I had to learn to be fearless early on in life. And yeah, fear is the greatest threat to anybody because when you fear, you just puts you in like you're frozen and you don't feel like whatever you're going to do is not going to be accomplished or people are going to say stuff about you, especially in the music business. It's a place where people can criticize you, um, shame you, do all kinds of things to you. You just basically you have to have a thick skin in music and you just have to not care. Because I really don't care what people say. It's about speaking your truth and knowing who you are and loving yourself and knowing that what you're putting out is the best of who you are. So that's how I'm able to do the things that I can because I'm a person that I suffer from depression. So there are days, every day I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this music stuff anymore. It's just too much work. And then I'm like, no, music is my saving grace. So I flip flop, but I know that music is the place where I need to be. But yeah, it's always going to be a battle. I know that. It's a crazy battle. Now, you have, I said 5 books, I believe. When's the 6th book coming out? More work.
Well, I mean, it'll be there eventually. It's definitely not a series that I would stop writing for, but what I recognize is I need to get the movie done first.
Right.
And then I have promised myself that I will finish the screenplay for the sequel, assuming that this one goes well, because these movies take many years to do it. So if I don't start the screenplay now, then I have no hope of ever getting it out there in this lifetime. So I have begun that. That's like my priority before I do book number 6. But book number 6 is out there. I mean, it's the series starts off in present day until you hit book 4, where you really start learning a bunch of things about why Emma is so special.
Right.
And then book 5 actually takes place 200 years ago. So it starts tying everything together. And so I have to continue on with that 200 years ago to bring it back up to current day.
Right. Now, is the goal to have a movie, an animated film for each book?
It is the goal. I don't think I'll get to do it, but that is the goal.
Why not? You can do it.
Well, they're super expensive. So I have to, I need I don't know, Disney or somebody to give me a bunch of money.
But the thing is, Kim, you never know. Somebody's going to see this animated film and they're going to be like, oh my God, I want to sponsor, I want to fund, I want to do something, I want to invest in this film. So you can't say that it won't happen because I believe that it will.
That's right. I believe.
I believe. So we're going to play another one of your songs. It's called Simply Naked. Tell me about that one.
So when you actually get very close to an individual, the only way you're going to get closer, really, to cross that line is to strip off all of it and be very vulnerable. So, again, using a lot of metaphors, it's, once you take off all of the crap, right, that you cover yourself in, you hide behind, then that becomes the real person. And do you have the guts to actually show yourself simply naked?
I love it. Let's play it. Another hit. I mean, I just love all your music. There's nothing you can do wrong. That's what I'm seeing here. Have you ever thought about taking one of the characters in the book and creating a spin-off?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the direction that book 5 goes into.
Okay.
Without giving too much away. But yeah, one of the characters, they're tied together, but the idea is the first 4 books, the star is really a little girl. And book 5, the star is really a little boy. So, and he's got his own. They're connected, but he's got his own character, his own feelings about things and his own special traits.
I got it. Is there anybody, whether it's a music producer, an artist, or a filmmaker that you would love to collaborate with?
Oh yes, Black Coffee.
Oh. And why?
Oh my gosh, he's just so amazing. He just reeks of artistry and beautiful sounds, and yeah, I would that would be my dream.
Awesome sauce. Now, who has been an inspiration in your life, if you have any?
I have lots of people who have inspired me. I would say anywhere from a mentor who's always encouraging me to, lead by example and take on a real leadership role, and don't think that leaders are born, they're made. Right. And those were always really valuable to me. And, also watching, I have several, I have a lot of female friends, and watching them keep going at whatever they're doing, going at it honestly and professionally, and they keep, chugging away at it. And I would say what I'm finding is that as I get older and my friendships become more intense with a lot of my female friends, is that I'm seeing a real desire on both parties to really help each other out, not think about anything else but how can I help this person be successful. And sometimes they're not even related in the same industry, but I'm really seeing that my female, I don't want to say colleagues, they are friends, but it sort of goes beyond that. Like, how can I help this person do exactly what they want to do in life? And that's really inspirational to me, because the more I see that happening, the more I want to do the same. And I think that symbiotic relationship is catching. It becomes addictive.
I agree. That's what we're all trying to do here, is cool sisters in music, getting especially women on board to inspire one another, to work with one another. Now tell our audience, before we leave, where they can find you.
They can find me. The best is to go to my website. I've got links that take you from there. Website is sidefxmusic.com, or my children's book series and movie would be at Seaper Powers, SEAPER, powers.com, Seaper Powers, like the sea. And you'll find my socials that are, right on the top page on both of those websites.
Awesome sauce. Thank you so much, Kim, for being on my show, Chatting with Nat. Until next time, I hope
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I love you. Be safe out there. Until next time. Love you.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard.